Hi class, this is a real quick overview of Chapter 13, which is an important one because we're going to be talking about human resources and when we do the Sodexo project, and I'll take in different aspects of HR from SWOT, internal and external, which each group is going to do. So you may want to pay close attention to this chapter and also the chapter that is to come, Chapter 14 on leadership. But right now, let's just concentrate on 13. What are some of the takeaways and what are we trying to learn in this chapter? Well, we want to know what human resource management is. We want to know how we organize and attract a quality workforce. We want to understand how organizations develop and maintain a quality workforce. So the overview of this chapter should be to understand the human resource management process, and we want to talk a little bit about EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity, which is going to define discrimination, affirmative action, and bona fide occupational qualifications. We want to know about certain laws that protect against discrimination in employment, and we want to be able to talk about the legal issues involving sexual harassment. We want to look at internal and external recruitment. We want to be able to discuss the value of realistic job previews to employers and job candidates, like how do we look at an interview. We want to differentiate reliability and validity as two criteria of selection devices, like do we hire people because we perceive them to be right because they fit our model? Are we stereotyping, or are we hiring people because it's what the organization really needs? So do we use the validity of interviews and employment tests as selective devices? And we may want to learn a lot about Sodexo through how we do things at Zappos. They really have an interesting dynamic of how they select their employees. We want to define orientation and socialization and the importance of those things to organizations. And we want to give examples of off-the-job and on-the-job training. Discuss strengths and weaknesses of trait-based, behavior-based, and results-based performance appraisals. We want to talk about the 360 performance appraisal. Define work-life balance and compensation and benefits. This is a whole course you can take in human resource management, and we're just taking one chapter out of this whole thing. So I want to be able to more hands-on apply HR to the Sodexo project and to Zappos. So I really think that the overview of this chapter, it's the hour, I'm sorry, is going to describe the wide variety of activities involved in attracting, developing, and maintaining a quality organizational workforce. So when we look at human resource management, it's an integral part of a manager's responsibilities, but, when we talk about activities like finding the right people, like recruiting the right people, hiring the right people, orienting the right people, training the right people, developing them, evaluating them, compensating them, and then retaining them for long term, these are the things that are critical to high performance. So what does this chapter do? It starts out by defining HR management and describing the activities involved in the human resource management process, and it looks at the impact of governmental laws and regulations on human resource management. Like I said, it goes over EEOC and current legal issues, and it really talks, and I want you to pay special attention to this because it relates to Sodexo. The how do we develop a quality workforce? You need real good leaders, but you also need real good followers. And we want to examine what we call the orientation and socialization process. And that should be included in the training and development because that relates to the culture that we create. Okay? So, maintaining a quality workforce is really important. And the chapter kind of ends with the issues of flexibility and work-life balance. When we talked earlier about employees feed off of employers and vice versa, these make the best companies. We want to keep retention and turn high. We want to keep retention high, turnover down or low, and we want to make sure we are on top of labor management requirements as required by law and by good ethical practices. Okay, that's kind of the overview of where this chapter is going to go. So let's do the following. I'm going to put on some YouTube videos on some of the highlights of the chapter that you can look at, plus what we discuss in class. And the other thing that we're going to do this Monday and Wednesday is we're going to talk a little bit more about Zappos, and we are going to get a test on Zappos. It's a group test, just like you did Dunkin' Donuts, that is based on their culture and a case study that is in your Schermerhorn book. So that's what it'll be about. And you're going to do it the same way as you did Zappos. Okay? Now, I don't mean Zappos, I'm sorry. The same way as you did Dunkin' Donuts. You know, each member of the team and everyone knows what their responsibility is toward their team constitution, and each member of the team is going to do 2 paragraphs on Zappos based on the questions I give you in the case study. Okay? So that's it. And I will see you tomorrow morning.